The San Jose Sharks continue their road trip by heading to Montreal to face the Canadiens. Here, that's what you need to know.
You're Locked On Sharks, your daily podcast on the San Jose Sharks, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hello, welcome to Locked On Sharks, the premier hockey podcast covering your favorite team in the Bay Area. My name is JD Young, caretaker at the Reef, also the co-host of Locked On NHL. I want to thank you for making Locked On Sharks your first or potentially second episode of the day. Again, we are doing these YouTube exclusive previews only, where we're talking about who the Sharks' next opponent is, and that is the Montreal Canadiens. So the Montreal Canadiens still technically kind of ish in the heat of a playoff race. Things have definitely cooled down for them as of late, but they have been looking pretty solid coming out of the Four Nations, as they've won 2 in a row against Ottawa, who's been on a slide here, and then against Carolina. They are 3-6-1 in their last 10, with their other win coming against the San Jose Sharks, of course, facing, so this is a team that is maybe not in the playoff race anymore, but I think has kind of made that jump into the fun, frisky team that we hope the Sharks will continue to kind of head towards, at least hopefully starting next season. So let's look at how these two teams stack up. The Canadiens are 27-26-5. The Sharks 15-36-8. The Sharks are averaging 2.56 goals for per game, 31st in the NHL. They're allowing 3.68 goals a game, 32nd in the NHL. Power play for the Sharks at 17.9, 26th, and the PK at 76%, 23rd in the NHL. For the Canadiens, 293 goals for 2.93 goals for per game, 15th. Goals allowed, 3.34, 28th. Their power plays at a solid 21.6%, good for 16th. And the PK is very good at 81.8%, good for 7th. Of course, Toffoli leads the Sharks in goals, Eklund in assists, and Celebrini in points. For the Canadiens, Caulfield has 31 goals, Suzuki 41 assists, and Suzuki also leads the team in points with 57. So looking at kind of how these two teams match up right now, you can definitely see the advantage for the Canadiens. Like, they're just a little bit better team right now than the San Jose Sharks. They're getting production from their top line, which we'll dig into the lines here in a second. But right, does everything just kind of just a notch better than the San Jose Sharks? And you see that when looking from J Fresh Hockey, kind of the advantage, right? The Montreal Canadiens, like 5-on-5 expected goals for, they're actually pretty solid at 10th. They probably just don't score finish as well as you would like. They do get a lot of production on the power play, even though the power play is not as effective, but they do get a lot of production there. Laine and Caulfield on the power play is going to be a big challenge for the Sharks. Defensively, though, I think this is a game where we might see the Sharks offense hopefully have some success, as both these defenses struggle. The big difference, though, is the goaltending, where the Canadiens have gotten solid goaltending and the Sharks this season have not. Looking at where the Canadiens kind of rank, 7th in their division in point percentage, 22nd in the NHL. Like I said, the offense expected goals for and stuff and is pretty solid. Like, the offense has been kind of there, but the defense just not where the Canadiens want. The PK is very good. And the goalie has kind of been a reason for the Canadiens kind of maybe being a little bit better than expected, especially when it comes to the defense. So how they line up, you have Caulfield, Suzuki, Slafkovsky on the first line, Newhook, Beck, Laine on the second, Anderson, Dvorak, Gallagher on the third, Heineman, Evans, and Armia on the fourth line, Matheson, Carrier, first pairing, Struble, Hutson, Jacky, and Savard, and then Montreal and Joe in net. I'm not sure who's starting in net, but both those guys have been playing pretty well. Of course, the what to watch for in this game. We're going to have the Celebrini versus Lane Hutson, two guys who are kind of leading the charge when it comes to the Calder race. So, of course, that is a big story in this game, is how both of these guys play. Now we're starting to kind of see this Celebrini through this tour through Canada, kind of getting to deal with, the Canadian media. We saw the big scrum with it. We're probably going to see it with Toronto, and like they're going to have to kind of deal with this scrum. And hopefully, if he performs well, help to kind of drive that Calder Trophy discussion that he is frankly worthy of. So that's big story to watch in this game. But when it comes down to kind of the matchups here, I do want to see the Suzuki versus Celebrini matchup, right? That line of Caulfield, Suzuki and Slafkovsky versus Toffoli, Celebrini, Eklund. That line, I think, whichever line can create and generate offense, I think is going to go a long way in this game and trying to win this game. The Canadiens do have, whichever goalies are out there, the Canadiens are going to have the kind of advantage in that area. But the defenses for both these teams, they're more than willing to give up a few goals here and there. So I want to see if Celebrini can have a big night, and if that 70s line can kind of win the game for the San Jose Sharks. Special teams wise, this does feel like the Canadiens have the advantage. Power play is a little bit better than the Sharks' power play, but that PK, I think, can potentially shut down the Sharks' power play here. The power play has looked better since we've seen the Smith, Toffoli, Eklund's Celebrini grouping among the forwards with Wallman back there. But this is a tough PK, and I think the Sharks are going to have to win this game. I think they're going to have to get at least one power play goal and kind of thwart this penalty kill for the Montreal Canadiens. So, and then the other thing, kind of big thing I'm kind of looking for in this game is who among the bottom six for both these teams can somebody make a play there, right? And I think the Sharks, the Canadiens do have a little bit better of a bottom six there. But we've seen, like Colin Graf has played pretty well. We've seen Luke Cunning kind of make some splash plays here. Whichever of these bottom six can just make a play here and there to take some pressure off the top six, I think will go a long way. Unfortunately, I do have the Canadiens winning this game. I think it's going to be a very fun game, right? We've seen the Sharks play well the last two games coming out of the break, right? Especially with the way the defensive structure for San Jose, we've seen some improvement from them. So I expect that to continue on here, but I just think I think the special teams might be a little bit and the goaltending is going to be kind of the big advantage for Montreal. So I got a 4-2 Canadiens win. Put me down for a Marc-Edouard Vlasic point in his hometown of Montreal. I think he gets a point, but I do think that the Canadiens win this game 4-2. It's probably really close, as we've seen late into the third, and then they probably get an empty netter to kind of put things away, as typically goes for the Sharks. So we'll have more on this game on your next episode of Locked on Sharks, wherever you get podcasts. And of course, you can watch on YouTube as well. Follow the show on Twitter, Facebook, and Instagram at Locked on Sharks. Follow me on Twitter and Blue Sky at My Fry Hole. Until tonight, bye, friends.